Today, I want to share a story so raw it leaves scars, unfolding beneath the wide, unforgiving skies of the Old West. This is a place where law fades with distance, and where survival depends on what you're willing to lose or defend. It started with 3 gunshots at sundown, a moment meant to intimidate. But instead, it ignited a war driven by loyalty, grief, and revenge. Before we kick off this adventure, don't forget to hit like on the video and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Harlan Voss was 68 years old the day they killed Grimjaw. The horse had stood beside him for 29 years, longer than his marriage, longer than most friendships, longer than anything else in his life that had ever truly mattered. Harlan had found Grimjaw as a colt, abandoned in the brush, his mother torn apart by wolves, the foal barely clinging to breath. The colt couldn't have been more than a few days old. Skinny, shaking, starving. Any practical man would have walked away. Any sensible rancher would have let the land decide his fate and saved himself the burden. But Harlan Voss had never been practical, never been sensible. He fed the colt from a bottle, slept beside him in the barn, carried him through sickness, and taught him trust, taught him to walk as a partner, not a tool. They aged together, man and horse, through seasons of plenty and seasons of loss. When Harlan's wife passed 15 years earlier, Grimjaw stayed, quiet, steady, never judging, never leaving, simply there. When the ranch began to fail 3 years ago, drought, age, bad luck piling up, Grimjaw carried more weight, worked longer hours, and asked for nothing. That was what partners did. They gave everything. Harlan still owned 200 acres in Montana Territory, land that had once been valuable with water rights and grazing ground. But time had caught him. 68 was too old for endless labor, too old to compete with younger men and larger outfits. The Fenner brothers wanted his property. More than that, they wanted the water. They offered him money, insulting money, the kind that said, "You're desperate, and we know it." Harlan refused. This was his land, his home, his life. He would die here before selling it away, on his soil, on his terms, with his dignity intact. The Fenner brothers didn't accept that answer. They returned with pressure, with threats disguised as offers, with consequences wrapped in promises. Harlan still refused, still stood his ground, still believed the law would matter, still believed right should outweigh force. He was wrong. The law didn't stretch this far. It didn't care about one aging rancher clinging to 200 acres. Brock Fenner knew that. Ike Fenner knew it too. They relied on it. They arrived at sundown, 4 men, Brock and Ike Fenner, the brothers, along with 2 hired guns, Knox Rell and Vane Rell, men with empty eyes and practiced hands, men who killed for money without hesitation, without conscience, without mercy. They didn't come for Harlan, not yet. They came for something worse, something meant to finish him. They came for Grimjaw. Before we reach the turning point, like the video if you're enjoying the story, and if you're not subscribed yet, take a second to fix that. Drop your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Stay with me. The next moment cuts deep. Harlan was inside the house when the gunfire cracked. 3 shots, fast and sharp, Winchester rounds. His blood turned to ice. He knew that sound. He knew what it meant. He knew what waited outside before his hand touched the door. Grimjaw lay 50 yards from the barn. 3 wounds, chest, shoulder, leg. The horse was still alive, struggling to rise, failing, blood darkening the dirt. Pain clouded his brown eyes, confusion etched into every breath. Why? What did I do wrong? Brock Fenner stood nearby, smiling. A cold smile, a satisfied one. That's what happens when you don't cooperate, Brock called out. That's the price of being stubborn. Next time it won't be the horse. Next time we shoot the owner, you understand? Harlan didn't answer. He couldn't. He ran, stumbled, collapsed to his knees beside Grimjaw, hands pressed to the horse's neck, feeling a pulse already fading. No. No. Not you, Harlan whispered. Not like this. Please. Not you. Grimjaw turned his head, eyes meeting Harlan's, still trusting, still loving, still forgiving. Even in death, the horse held no anger, no blame, only the same loyalty he had given for 29 years. I'm sorry. Harlan choked. This is on me. My pride, my refusal. You're paying for my choices. You didn't deserve this. You never hurt anyone. You were good, always good. The best friend I ever had. Grimjaw's breathing slowed, ragged, shallow. The end was close, minutes at best, maybe seconds. Harlan had seen enough death to know the signs. This was goodbye. Final, unavoidable. Thank you, he whispered. For every mile, every year, every moment. You made my life better. You made me better. I'll miss you. Every day. Every moment. Until I join you. I promise. I'll see you again. Soon. Grimjaw's eyes closed. His chest stilled. The bond ended there. 29 years erased by 3 bullets and cruel intent. A partnership shattered. A family destroyed. All for land. Harlan knelt in silence. The Fenner brothers watched, expecting tears. Begging. Surrender. They didn't understand what they had done. They hadn't broken Harlan Voss. They had freed him. Freed him from fear, from restraint, from the rules of civilization. Because a man with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous thing alive. And Harlan Voss had just lost everything that mattered. You get it now? Brock called out. Sell the land. Take the offer. Or next time, it's you. Your choice, Brock Fenner said. But don't take too long. Our patience is finished. Harlan Voss rose slowly, joints grinding, the weight of his years plain to see. He studied the 4 men, really studied them, burning their faces into memory. Brock Fenner, Ike Fenner, and the 2 gunmen whose names he didn't yet know, but soon would, he made sure of that. I understand, Harlan said softly, his voice calm, too calm, steady in a way that carried danger. I understand exactly. We'll be back tomorrow, Brock said, with papers. You sign, we pay. Everyone walks away. Simple, clean. Done. No, Harlan replied. You've got it wrong. I'm not selling, not today, not ever. Not to you, not to anyone. This land is mine. It stays mine until I die, which may come sooner than later, but not because I bowed my head. It'll be because I stood, because I fought, because I refused to let bullies take what isn't theirs. Brock's smile vanished. Old man, Brock snapped, you're choosing death over land. Over dirt, over nothing. That's madness. This isn't about land, Harlan said. It's about principle, about dignity, about refusing to let evil win just because it carries guns. He motioned toward Grimjaw's body. You killed my horse. My friend, my family, the only thing left in this world that mattered to me. You thought that would break me, thought I'd fold. You were wrong. Dead wrong, fatally wrong. Are you threatening us? Ike Fenner cut in, his voice sharp and nervous. The younger brother, meaner, dumber. 4 against 1, Ike sneered. You're 68. You're unarmed. You're nothing. I am armed, Harlan corrected. He pulled his coat aside, revealing the Colt Peacemaker at his hip. I've got experience, and I've got motive. And I'm no longer tied to staying alive. That's the difference. You want to survive. You want profit. You want to talk about your stolen land over whiskey. I don't want anything anymore. Nothing except watching all four of you pay for what you did. For Grimjaw, for crossing a line you never should have crossed. Knox Rell and Vane Rell shifted uneasily. They'd taken jobs before, killed men, terrorized families. But this was different. This old rancher wasn't afraid. He wasn't retreating. He was promising violence with absolute certainty. That made him dangerous. Last warning, Brock said. Walk away while you still can. We outnumber you. We outgun you. We're younger, faster, stronger. You can't win. I don't need to win, Harlan answered. I just need you to lose. There's a difference. Now get off my land before I start shooting. I'm done talking, done negotiating, done pretending to be civilized. You wanted war, he said. Now you've got it. The four men exchanged uneasy looks. They had expected tears, begging, surrender. Not this, not cold resolve, not threats spoken by someone who should have been broken, helpless and finished. Brock made the call. Let's go. He's bluffing. Crazy old bastard. Tomorrow he'll see sense. Tomorrow he'll sign. They rode off, but not cleanly. They kept glancing back, checking to see if the old man followed, if he raised a gun, if he fired. Their confidence fractured as they went. Doubt crept in. Fear planted its roots. When they were gone, Harlan dropped to his knees beside Grimjaw once more. He rested a hand on the horse's neck. Still warm, recently alive, soon to be cold. Memory, a shadow, a driving force. I'll set this right. Harlan Voss vowed under his breath. I swear it, to your memory, to every mile we shared. They'll pay, all four of them. I'll track them down. I'll find them. I'll kill them. One at a time. Slow if I can. Fast if I must. But dead, without question, in the end. That's my oath. That's my reason. That's all I have left. He dug the grave with his own hands. Deep, proper, respectful. 6 feet down, 4 feet across, 8 feet long. It took the entire night. His back screamed. His hands split and bled. His joints burned with every motion. It didn't matter. He didn't stop. Grimjaw deserved a burial worthy of loyalty, worthy of respect, worthy of love, even in death. Harlan wrapped the body in his best blanket, the one his wife had sewn years ago, the one he'd saved for something important. This was important. This was farewell to family, to love, to every good thing he'd known. He lowered Grimjaw into the earth with care, with shaking hands, with tears running freely, with a breaking heart, with a soul tearing apart. Then he filled the grave, slowly, deliberately. Every shovelful carried a memory, a moment, a thank you, a goodbye. He carved a wooden marker, plain, honest, true. Grimjaw, loyal friend, 1852-1881. 29 years together, murdered by cowards, avenged by love. The sun rose on a new morning, a new purpose, a new Harlan Voss. The old Harlan, the quiet rancher, the law-abiding man, the civilized soul, had been buried with the horse. What remained was something else. Something harder. Something forged long ago and buried beneath marriage, routine, and peace. The soldier had returned. The killer had returned. The man who survived the war, who had taken lives, who had learned that sometimes violence only answered violence. That man was back. And God help Brock Fenner and Ike Fenner, because Harlan Voss would not, could not, would not even try. This was war, personal, final, to the death, and Harlan was already dead inside. which made him unstoppable. He spent the next day preparing, not emotionally. That work was finished. He had been ready since Grimjaw's final breath. This preparation was practical, tactical, military, the way he'd been trained 40 years earlier, the way that training had kept him alive while thousands fell. He cleaned his weapons, 3 of them. A Colt Peacemaker revolver, 6 rounds, meant for close work. A Winchester 1873 rifle, 15 rounds, reliable at medium distance. And his old Sharps rifle from the war, single shot, long range, deadly precise. Together, they gave him choice, flexibility, lethality. He packed ammunition, plenty of it, more than he should need. But war had taught him that enough didn't exist, that empty chambers meant death, and extra weight was always worth carrying. Always. He studied his maps. The Fenner ranch lay 15 miles south. A large operation, nearly 20 men working the spread. But most were cowboys, hired hands, not gunfighters, not killers, not responsible for Grimjaw's death. Harlan had no interest in them. Only the 4. Only the men who had pulled the triggers. They were men who had slaughtered an innocent animal, who had stepped across a line that separated business from pure evil. Harlan Voss began gathering facts. He asked questions around town, quietly, carefully. Piece by piece, names surfaced. The 2 hired guns were brothers, Knox Rell and Vane Rell. Professional killers, a combined tally of 10 men dead between them. Dangerous, seasoned, ruthless, but not untouchable. No one ever was. Harlan sat down that night and wrote a letter to his daughter in California, Lena Voss. 5 years had passed since he'd last seen her. In the letter, he laid everything bare. What had happened, what had been taken from him, what he was about to do, and why he could not turn away. He told her he loved her, that he was sorry, that he hoped someday she would understand, that vengeance was not weakness, that it was love, that it was justice, that it was necessary. He mailed the letter. Then he said his goodbyes to the town. People noticed. They asked questions. They watched him prepare. They saw the change, the hardness in his eyes, the certainty in his movements, the quiet shift from an aging rancher into something colder, something dangerous. "What are you planning, Harlan?" Tobias Klein asked him. A good man, an honest one, but powerless. The Fenner brothers were too wealthy, too connected, too protected. "Justice," Harlan said. "If the law won't deliver it, I will." "That's murder," Tobias warned. "That's vigilantism. It's illegal. I'd have to arrest you." "You can try," Harlan replied. "After. If I'm still alive. But I won't be. This is a one-way road. A mission with an end. This is goodbye, Sheriff. You were good to me, to my wife, to this town. But you can't help now. No one can. This is between me and 4 murderers. Stay out of it, please. I don't want anyone else hurt. Just them. Only the guilty." Tobias started to argue, then stopped. He saw Harlan's eyes. He understood. This wasn't negotiable. It wasn't preventable. It was inevitable. The man standing before him was already gone. What remained was a ghost with guns, a ghost with purpose, a ghost driven by vengeance. Harlan left at dawn, not on horseback. He had no horse anymore. Grimjaw lay buried. Taking another would have felt wrong, like betrayal, like replacement, like forgetting. So he walked. 15 miles, all day, carrying weapons, carrying supplies, carrying rage. The distance gave him time to remember every ride with Grimjaw, every quiet evening, every brutal day made bearable by that horse, that friend, that family. The memories cut deep, sharp as knives. But they also hardened him, focused him, reminded him why this had to happen, why 4 men had to die, why mercy no longer applied. He reached Fennerland at sunset, the same hour they had come for Grimjaw. Poetic, appropriate, a circle closing. He avoided the main house. He didn't want witnesses, didn't want complications. He wanted only the 4, only justice, only blood. He found them at the line shack, a remote cabin 3 miles from the main ranch, used during roundups, isolated, hidden, currently sheltering 4 murderers. Brock Fenner had sent them there, to keep them away from hired hands, to avoid questions, to make sure no one saw them celebrating the killing of an old man's horse. A smart decision, tactically sound, and fatal, because it left them alone, exposed, vulnerable. It made them ideal prey. Brock Fenner had helped without realizing it, had handed Harlan Voss the advantage. Vengeance came easier that way, almost fair. Harlan settled onto a rocky ridge 300 yards out. Perfect distance for the sharps. The sun dipped low, the light thinning. Darkness was coming. He waited. Patience was a weapon. War had taught him that. Those who waited survived. Those who waited long enough delivered death. Through the cabin window, he watched them. Drinking, laughing, celebrating. They believed they'd won. Believed the old man would sign the papers come morning. Would bend. Would surrender. Would accept defeat. They were wrong. Terribly wrong. Knox Rell stepped outside. He needed to piss. Walked 20 feet from the cabin. Turned his back. Exposed, unaware. Helpless. A perfect target. Harlan steadied the rifle. Adjusted for distance. For wind. For drop. The Sharps was old, but dependable. And lethal. He breathed slow. Even. Let his heartbeat settle. Let the world narrow. Until there was only the target. Only the trigger. Only purpose. He fired. The Sharps thundered across the open prairie. The heavy .50 caliber round crossed 300 yards in less than a heartbeat and tore into Knox Rell's back, center mass. Devastating, fatal, instant. Knox collapsed. No scream, no movement, just gone. First payment collected. 3 remained. The others burst from the cabin, guns raised, scanning the dark, searching for a threat they couldn't see. 300 yards was a long way, especially in fading light. Most men couldn't spot a shooter at that distance. Most men couldn't hit anything that far. But most men weren't Harlan Voss. They weren't trained soldiers. They weren't driven by grief, sharpened into rage. Vane Rell dropped to his knees beside his brother, fingers at his neck. No pulse. Reality hit. Knox was dead, killed by something unseen, by a ghost, by the vengeance they dismissed. The old man had come, and he had killed. "Inside, now!" Brock shouted. They scrambled, hauled Knox's body back in, slammed the door, barred it tight. The windows were narrow, defensible, but the cabin became a trap, a wooden box with no escape, no reinforcements, no future. Harlan reloaded the Sharps, 1 round at a time. Slow work, a single-shot rifle. But time was on his side. All night, all week, all month if needed. He wasn't leaving. He wasn't giving up. He wouldn't stop until all 4 were dead, or until he was. Either ending was acceptable. He waited an hour. Let them think. Let them whisper plans. Let hope grow. Then he fired again, straight through the window. A blind shot. Not at flesh, but at the oil lamp. Glass exploded, oil spilled. Fire flared, small flames, controlled, but terrifying. A message: I can hurt you, I can burn you, I can kill you. Your walls won't save you, your numbers mean nothing. You're already dead. You just don't know when. Put it out! Ike Fenner screamed. They beat the flames down until only smoke remained. Darkness swallowed the cabin again. They couldn't see outside, couldn't spot the shooter, couldn't locate the threat. All they could do was wait, and fear, and listen for death. Vane Rell made a break for it. He kicked the door open and ran. Full sprint, desperate, trusting speed to save him, trusting the dark to hide him, trusting luck to carry him through. It didn't. Harlan Voss had already switched to the Winchester. 15 rounds. Faster. More forgiving. He raised the rifle, led the target, read the movement, pulled the trigger 3 times. 1 round struck true, shoulder. Vane crashed to the ground, screaming, bleeding, alive. For the moment. Harlan came down off the ridge, slow, measured, careful. This was close now. Dangerous. No distance left to protect him. Here, skill mattered less. Luck mattered more. But Harlan didn't need luck. He needed justice. He needed vengeance. He needed to finish what Grimjaw's death had begun. I was just doing a job, Vane cried. Just following orders. Just trying to get paid. I didn't want to kill the horse. Brock made me. Said I had to. Said I had to prove loyalty. Said I had to show I'd do anything. Please, I've got a family. I've got kids. Please. Grimjaw was my family, Harlan answered, his voice flat, his aim steady. You took mine. I take yours. He fired. Vane stopped pleading, stopped breathing, stopped. Now only Brock Fenner and Ike Fenner remained. The hired guns were dead. Their shield was gone. Only the brothers stood between vengeance and completion. The men who ordered it. The men who decided an innocent animal was expendable. Who chose cruelty to intimidate an old man. Who thought terror would win them land. They had miscalculated. Badly. We can work this out, Brock shouted from inside the cabin. We can negotiate. We'll pay. Name it. Money. Land. Anything. Just stop. Just walk away. Just let us live. Grimjaw can't negotiate, Harlan called back. Grimjaw can't live. So why should you? It was just a horse, Brock yelled. Just an animal. Not worth this. Not worth dying over. To you, maybe, Harlan said. To me, he was everything. My friend. My family. My reason to wake up. My reason to keep going. You took that from me. Casually. Cruelly. For no reason except to hurt me. To break me. To force my hand. Congratulations, he said. You succeeded. Now you face what comes next. You're insane, Brock shouted. You're throwing your life away for revenge. For nothing. It's stupid. It's pointless. It's love. Harlan cut in. The only thing that matters. The only thing that lasts. You wouldn't understand. Men like you never do. You only value what you can sell. What you can own. What you can control. You don't understand loyalty. Devotion. Partnership. That's why you're dying tonight. That's why I'm not stopping. That's why this ends one way. With your blood soaking into my land. With justice carried out. With Grimjaw avenged. Harlan advanced toward the cabin. 50 feet. 40. 30. The danger zone. They could fire through the walls. They could get lucky. They could kill him. He didn't care. Death was acceptable. Expected even. He welcomed it if it came after the work was finished. After the Fenner brothers were gone, after the purpose was fulfilled. At 20 feet, Ike Fenner broke. He burst through the rear window, glass exploding outward, his body tumbling as his gun fired wildly. Panic, terror, pure instinct. But instinct couldn't match training, couldn't match experience, couldn't match everything except fear. Harlan Voss was ready. He had anticipated this, had already moved behind the cabin. He was waiting. The Winchester spoke once. Ike's head snapped back. The younger Fenner brother fell, dead before he hit the ground. 3 down, 1 left. The last one, the bigger one. The leader. The man who had smiled while Grimjaw bled out. The man who had given the order. The one who deserved the slowest ending, but would receive the quickest. Because Harlan wasn't cruel, wasn't a sadist. He was thorough, focused, absolutely committed to finishing what they had begun. Now Brock Fenner was alone, abandoned, unprotected, doomed. He knew it. Anyone would have. The only question was how long he had left. How long before Harlan breached the cabin, before a bullet found its mark, before justice closed its grip. The answer came fast. Brock tried something desperate. He set the cabin on fire, his own fire. Controlled, intentional. Smoke filled the space, chaos bloomed, cover formed. Then he ran. Out the front door, through smoke, through confusion. Hoping Harlan couldn't see, couldn't aim, couldn't shoot through the haze. It almost worked, almost clever, almost enough. But Harlan carried 40 years of experience. He had fought in worse than smoke. He had killed in rain, fog, darkness, and confusion. He had survived when visibility vanished and death filled the air. Smoke meant nothing. Smoke was easy, just another obstacle. He heard Brock running, tracked him by sound, by footsteps, by breath, by branches snapping underfoot. Everything made noise. Everything betrayed position. Brock ran blind. Harlan hunted informed. The advantage was absolute. The outcome was certain. Brock made it 50 yards, then slowed, disoriented, lungs burning from smoke and exertion. Adrenaline drained away, replaced by fear. Hope collapsed into reality. This was it. The end. The old man had won. The old man had caught him. The old man was going to kill him. "Wait!" Brock screamed. "Wait! I surrender. I give up. I'll confess. I'll tell everyone what I did. I'll go to prison. Just don't kill me. Please, I'm begging. Harlan stepped out of the shadows, 10 feet away. Winchester leveled, finger on the trigger, cold eyes, dead eyes. Eyes that had lost mercy the moment Grimjaw's breathing stopped. "You killed my horse," Harlan said. "My friend, my family, my reason to keep living. You thought that would break me, thought it would make me weak. Easy. You were wrong. You broke something else. Something that kept me civilized. That kept me calm. That kept me human. You let something loose I'd kept locked away for 40 years, Harlan Voss said. Something born in war. Something that learned how to kill and learned to like it. I spent half my life burying it. You dragged it back into the light. And now it's putting you in the ground. Please, Brock Fenner whispered, his final word, his last attempt. A thin strand of hope. Grimjaw couldn't beg, Harlan answered. He couldn't plead. He just died, confused, hurting, never understanding why. So you don't get to beg either. You don't get mercy. You just die. Fair. Equal. Just. Harlan pulled the trigger. Brock Fenner fell. The last brother. The final name. The end of vengeance. 4 shots, 4 bodies. 4 lives taken in payment for 1 innocent life. 4 murderers gone. Justice delivered. purpose fulfilled. The revenge was complete. Harlan stood over the body and felt nothing. No relief, no triumph, no satisfaction, only emptiness. A hollow calm. Because killing them hadn't brought Grimjaw back. It hadn't filled the silence. It hadn't ended the loneliness. It had only burned away the anger, only erased the reason to keep moving forward. Now what? Now where? Now why? Harlan walked home through the night. 15 miles. Carrying his weapons, carrying exhaustion, carrying the weight of what was finished. The revenge was done. 4 men dead. Justice served. And still, nothing felt right. Nothing felt healed. Grimjaw was still dead, still buried, still gone forever. Dawn broke as Harlan reached his land. The grave waited for him. Fresh earth, a wooden marker, a quiet monument to 29 years of loyalty, of companionship, of love. Harlan lowered himself beside it. Spent. Empty. "It's done," he said to the dirt. "All 4. They paid. For what they did. For what they took. For you. I hope that matters. I hope you know. I hope, wherever you are, you understand. I did it for you. All of it. Because you deserved justice. You deserved vengeance. You deserved someone who cared enough to make them answer." The wind moved through the grass. Morning birds called. The grave remained silent. No answer. No sign. Just earth. Just memory. Grimjaw was gone. Completely. Forever. Killing the men responsible hadn't changed that. Hadn't eased the ache. Hadn't made the world whole. It had only turned Harlan Voss into a killer again. Added more blood to hands already marked by it. Closed a story with no happy ending. At noon, Tobias Klein arrived. Deputies with him, a warrant in his coat, a duty he couldn't avoid. He found Harlan still seated by the grave. Hours later, unmoved, unfed. "Harlan," Tobias said quietly, "I have to take you in. For Brock and Ike Fenner. For Knox Rell and Vane Rell. For murder, 4 counts. You'll hang, you know that. This isn't an arrest. It's a formality before execution." "I know," Harlan replied. "I expected it. I accepted it. This was always a one-way road. I just took 4 murderers with me. A fair trade. My life for theirs. Grimjaw's death avenged. That's all I wanted. That's all I needed. Was it worth it? Throwing away his life, his freedom, his name, for revenge, for a horse?" "Yes," Harlan Voss answered without a pause. "Absolutely. Completely. He was my family, my friend, my reason to keep going. They took him from me. So I took them from this world. Balance. Justice. Fairness. Worth everything. Worth my life. Worth my soul. Worth whatever hell is waiting." Tobias Klein helped him to his feet. Old joints protested. Old wounds ached. An old man who had become a killer again. A man who had traded a quiet ending for violent justice. Who chose love over law. Who paid the highest price for loyalty to an animal most men would have replaced without a second thought. They walked toward town. Toward the jail. Toward trial. Toward the gallows. Harlan didn't resist. Didn't argue. Didn't look back. He had no regrets. He had done what needed to be done. He had honored his friend. He had proven that love could be stronger than fear. Stronger than the law. Stronger than self-preservation. That had to be enough. It was everything. The trial lasted 2 days. Open and shut, Harlan confessed immediately. Every detail, every shot, every death. No remorse, no apology, no regret. 4 men had murdered an innocent animal. He had carried out justice, simple, clear, necessary. The jury deliberated 30 minutes. Guilty on all counts. First-degree murder, 4 times. The sentence was death by hanging. Execution set for 1 week later. Standard procedure, standard outcome, expected, accepted. Then something unexpected happened. Public opinion. People heard the whole story, not just the killings. They heard the reason. Grimjaw, 29 years. A loyal companion, murdered to intimidate, murdered for cruelty, murdered for sport. People understood. They sympathized. Anyone who had ever loved an animal understood. Anyone who had lost a companion felt the pain. Anyone with a heart saw the injustice. Petitions began to circulate. Pardon Harlan Voss. Justice for Grimjaw. Mercy for a grieving owner. Hundreds signed. Then thousands. From across the territory. From neighboring states. From everywhere the story traveled. People who had never met Harlan, who had never known Grimjaw, but who understood love, understood loss, understood that sometimes the law and justice were not the same thing. The governor received more than 5,000 letters, all pleading for mercy, for pardon, for understanding, for acknowledgement that context mattered, that circumstances mattered, that sometimes good men committed terrible acts for reasons rooted in love, that Harlan Voss was not a criminal, but a grieving man pushed beyond his limits, a man who answered violence with violence, a man who deserved mercy, a second chance, life. Orson Halleck, 62 years old, read every letter. He owned 3 dogs, loved them deeply. He understood the bond between man and animal. He understood loss. He understood grief. He weighed justice against mercy, law against humanity, duty against compassion. 3 days before the scheduled execution, he made his decision. Harlan was summoned to the governor's office. Prison guards escorted him, chains on his wrists, shackles on his ankles. A condemned man called to meet the governor. Unusual, unprecedented, significant. Mr. Voss, Orson Halleck began, I've read your case. I understand your actions. I understand your pain, Orson Halleck said, and I've read every one of the 5,000 letters written on your behalf. People believe you deserve mercy. They believe you deserve a pardon. They believe you deserve to live. What do you think? I think I killed 4 men, Harlan Voss answered plainly. I think the law says that earns a death sentence. I think precedent demands execution. I think mercy weakens justice. I think you should let me hang. I'm ready. I'm willing. I've already made my peace. Don't pardon me for politics. For pressure. For popularity. Do what's right. According to the law. According to precedent. According to duty. Orson Halleck studied him. An old man. A broken man. A man who had given up everything for love, for loyalty, for justice the law could not provide. A man who did not beg. Who did not ask for mercy. Who faced death with honor, with dignity. I'm granting a full pardon, Orson Halleck said at last. Not because of pressure, but because of context. Because 4 men murdered an innocent animal to intimidate you, to steal your land, to break your spirit. You responded excessively, perhaps. Illegally, certainly, but humanly. Understandably. Defensively. You are free, effective immediately. The pardon comes with conditions. You will leave this territory. You will start over. You will live peacefully. Can you accept those terms? Harlan stared at him, stunned. You're pardoning me. For 4 murders. I'm acknowledging extenuating circumstances, Halleck replied. I'm recognizing that sometimes justice requires mercy. That sometimes the law must bend to humanity. That sometimes good men commit terrible acts when pushed past the breaking point. You are not a threat to society. You are not a killer by nature. You are a grieving man who sought justice when the law failed him. That deserves consideration. That deserves a second chance. That deserves life. I don't want it, Harlan said quietly. Life without Grimjaw isn't life. It's just existing. Just breathing. Just waiting to die. Let me hang. Let me finish this. Let me join my friend. No, Orson Halleck said firmly. You're going to live. You're going to honor Grimjaw's memory by living well. By starting over. By finding a new purpose. By proving his loyalty wasn't wasted. By showing that love matters. That bonds matter. That animals aren't property. They're family. They're worth defending. They're worth living for. Even after they're gone. How? Harlan asked. How do I live? How do I move on? How do I forget? You don't forget, Halleck said. You remember. Every day. Every moment. You carry Grimjaw with you. In your heart. In your actions. In your choices. Your memory gives his death meaning. You honor him by living with purpose. That's how you thank him. That's how you keep him alive. Harlan sat in silence, absorbing the words, processing, understanding, accepting. Grimjaw would not have wanted him to die, would not have wanted him to quit, would have wanted him to live, to continue, to find new reasons, new connections, new ground to stand on. That was loyalty, not dying together, but living apart while carrying each other. Always. Forever. Where do I go? Harlan asked. Where do I start? Anywhere, Halleck said. Everywhere. Somewhere new. Somewhere you can heal. Somewhere you can rebuild. He slid papers across the desk. A train ticket. Money for a fresh start. Names of ranches needing experienced hands. A second chance. Use it, Halleck said. Don't waste it. Don't throw it away. Live for Grimjaw. Live because he can't. Live because loyalty demands it. It demands that his sacrifice mean something. That his memories stand tall. That his love become permanent. Harlan Voss nodded slowly. I'll try, he said. That's all I can promise. I'll try. That has to be enough. It's everything. It's what Grimjaw would want. Orson Halleck slid the papers across the desk. Freedom, a pardon, a second chance. Life after death, a future beyond grief. Go, the governor said. Live. Honor him. That's your sentence now. Life, lived well. Lived with purpose. Lived in his memory. Forever. Harlan left the governor's office a free man. A pardoned man. A grieving man with a reason to keep moving. He returned to his ranch one last time. To Grimjaw's grave. To say goodbye. To make a promise when dying would have been easier. He knelt beside the marker and placed his hand on the soil. I'm leaving, he said quietly. Starting over. Somewhere new. Somewhere you've never been. It feels wrong. Feels like betrayal. Like I'm abandoning you. But they say this honors you. That living well matters more than dying together. That making your memory proud means moving forward. So I'm trying. For you. Because you deserve someone who keeps going. Who doesn't quit. Who doesn't surrender to grief. You never quit on me. I won't quit on you. I'll live. I'll remember. I'll make your sacrifice matter. I promise. I swear. I'll see you again. One day. When it's time. When I've earned it. When I've lived well enough to deserve that reunion. Wait for me. Please. I'm coming. Just not yet. Not today. Today, I live. For you. 5 years passed. Harlan Voss was 73 when he settled in Wyoming. A small ranch. He worked for others, trained horses, shared what he knew, shared what he'd learned the hard way. He told his story about Grimjaw, about loyalty, about love that didn't end with death, about promises kept, about choosing to live well. He never owned another horse. He couldn't. It felt wrong, disloyal, impossible. Grimjaw was irreplaceable. Once in a lifetime. One great friend was enough for any man. But he worked with horses, gentled them, trained them, taught them to trust, made them safer, stronger. Every horse he touched was a gift to Grimjaw. A thank you, a way of saying, I'm keeping your memory alive by helping others like you. It gave him purpose. It gave him meaning. Young cowboys asked him why. Why horses? Why keep working? Why not retire? You're 73. You've earned your rest. Harlan always gave the same answer. Because I made a promise. To a friend who couldn't stay. To a partner who gave everything. To family that deserved better. I promised to live well. To make his memory proud. To prove loyalty matters. That bonds matter. That love matters. That's why I work. That's why I keep going. That's why I won't stop. Not until death takes me. Not until I join him. Then I'll rest. Then I'll stop. Then I'll be finished. But not before. Not yet. Not while breath remained. Not while strength held. Not while a promise still stood unfinished. People understood. They respected him. Some even admired him. The old man who lived for a fallen horse, who honored memory through action, who proved that love endured beyond life, beyond death, beyond everything. On quiet evenings, Harlan Voss sat alone beneath the open sky. He studied the stars and spoke to Grimjaw as if he were still there, as if he could hear, as if the bond remained unbroken. Did good today, he would say. Trained 3 horses, gentle now, trusting. Ready for good owners. You'd be proud, I think. I hope. I'm trying. Every day, every moment, every breath. To be worthy. To be grateful. To be loyal. Like you always were. Always. Forever. Until we meet again. And somewhere, somehow, maybe Grimjaw heard. Maybe the spirit lingered. Maybe love reached past flesh and bone. Maybe loyalty forged a bond death could not cut. Maybe Harlan wasn't mad, wasn't chasing ghosts. Maybe he was simply still connected. Still. Always. Forever. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. Maybe that was the point. Love doesn't end. It doesn't fade. It doesn't stop. It only changes shape. Changes how it shows itself, changes how it stays, but it remains, in the heart, in memory, in action, in choice, in a life lived well, in promises kept, in loyalty honored. That was the legacy. That was the memorial. That was forever. Harlan Voss died peacefully at 78, in his sleep, on a working ranch in Wyoming. 5 years after his pardon. 5 years of living well. 5 years of honoring Grimjaw. 5 years of proving that love mattered, that it lasted, that it transcended. They found a letter beside his bed. Final words. Final instructions. A final request. Bury me next to Grimjaw, on my Montana land. We began together. We should end together. Partners, friends, family. That's all that mattered. That's all that matters. That's everything. Thank you to Governor Orson Halleck for mercy, for understanding, for a second chance. I hope I used it well. I hope I honored your faith. Thank you to everyone who wrote letters, who demanded justice, who understood grief, who recognized that animals aren't property. They are family. They are worth everything. Your voices gave me purpose. They gave me a reason to continue. To my daughter, Lena Voss, I'm sorry. Sorry I wasn't there. Sorry I chose vengeance over peace. Sorry I spent my final years away from you. But I couldn't live knowing Grimjaw's killers walked free. I couldn't accept injustice. I couldn't bow to bullies. I believe you understand. Keep your commitments, especially to animals who depend on you, who trust you, who give everything. They deserve loyalty. They deserve protection. They deserve love. Give it freely. Give it fully. Forever. To Grimjaw, I'm coming. Finally. Completely. Forever. Wait for me, please. I tried to live well. I tried to honor your memory. I tried to make you proud. I hope I succeeded. I hope you approve. I hope you forgive my failures. Every shortcoming. Every moment when grief overwhelmed purpose. When anger eclipsed love. When vengeance cast a shadow over honor. Forgive me. Welcome me. Accept me. Let's ride together again, like before. Like always. Forever. They honored his request. They laid Harlan Voss to rest beside Grimjaw on Montana land that had been sold, yet whose new owner understood, respected the bond, allowed it. 2 graves, side by side, man and horse, partners, friends, family, together again, at last, forever. The marker read, Harlan Voss, 1813-1891, Grimjaw, 1852-1881. Together in life, together in death, forever. Loyalty transcends everything. Visitors still come. They leave flowers. They leave notes. They leave tears. The story lingers. The love inspires. The loyalty teaches that animals matter, that bonds matter, that love matters, more than land, more than profit, more than anything. That is the legacy. That is the memorial. That is forever. 2 graves, 1 love, an unbroken bond. Nothing separates them now. Not death, not time, not distance. Only together, finally, completely, forever, as it should be, as it always was, as it always will be. Love never dies. It only changes shape, changes how it shows itself. But it remains, always, forever, eternally. Finally, let me send my deep thanks to you. We appreciate you more than you think. If this tale stirred something deep inside, we invite you to remain part of this frontier of memories. More true stories of honor, compassion, and destiny are waiting for you here. Subscribe, share, comment. And thank you for riding with us today. Aviso legal. Disclaimer. Our content is designed for artistic and entertainment purposes and may reinterpret historical themes using fictional touches. We apply AI tools thoughtfully, only to support production, while keeping human supervision over editing, emotional tone, and narrative coherence. We always comply with regulatory guidelines for AI-based media and avoid deepfake practices or identity manipulation. All supporting components remain legally sourced. Please ask for authorization before sharing or adapting any segment. Your respect makes it possible for us to continue telling meaningful stories.